This is Josh Mandel. Some might call him the roaring kitty of Bitcoin, a former Wall Street trader who in November of 2024 predicted Bitcoin's price for the day's close of March 14th. Now, for a little bit of further context and a little bit of background, this guy turned $2 million into $22 million over the past couple of months. Now, he's not just called the roaring kitty of Bitcoin, in my opinion, from his predictions, but also his cryptic timeline that indicates Bitcoin is going to head to $444,000 at the peak of this cycle. Now, if you want to understand the depths of this guy's prediction, I think Andre Jick explains it very well in a video better than I could explain it. So shout out to Andre Jick. And if you want to go watch that, I'm going to go further into it and figure out if Bitcoin is actually going to hit that price target. So Josh Mandel recently posted this on March 14th of 2025 after his predictions came true. Okay, so here it goes. I have been somewhat vague and have attempted to make these latest predictions seem like they could be explained by some system or knowledge of markets. This is not true. The truth is that I have a very specific prediction based on memories of something that happened 30 years ago, combined with thoughts which seem ever present in my mind. If Bitcoin were to close at 84,000 on March 14th, it will run the table. I'm not certain what that means. I have a couple of thoughts, but there's no point unless somehow it actually closes at 84,000. And what did it do? It closed at his exact target. Now, the truth is that I am becoming convinced that it may well do just that, and that the impossible odds of such a thing occurring means that I will have some explaining to do. If this occurs, I will likely take the rest of the month off and reach out to family members to let them know what I am planning to reveal. Believe me, I hope I am wrong about this, because some people are definitely going to view me as mentally ill if they are non-believers, or heretical if they are people of faith. Now, you can clearly see that this guy has a hefty position on Microstrategy, MSTR. Microstrategy, if you don't know, is run by Michael Saylor, who has just continuously been purchasing Bitcoin. Now, what this guy does, he basically just runs calls on Microstrategy and profits hundreds of thousands of dollars and sometimes millions and millions of dollars by just trading it. Now, obviously, we have seen that this cycle has had some resistance. We failed at 109, which means we didn't even enter the red zone of Bitcoin on the Bitcoin power law corridor. So are we allowed to actually reach $444,000, and is it even possible in the grand scheme of things? Now, his cryptic timeline, 360 more, a trio of fours times a grand, brings up this price target, and it also indicates several other numbers, and he has more cryptic timelines tied to that. But this is often tied to Bitcoin's halving cycles, which historically peak 12 to 18 months after a halving. The last halving occurred April of 2024, suggesting a potential peak between April 2025 and October of 2025. If Mandel's prediction holds, Bitcoin could theoretically reach 444,000 as early as late 2025, roughly 6 to 9 months from now. However, and before we get into the however, let me show you exactly what we're talking about here. The white lines I have drawn out are the exact cycle periods where Bitcoin has a halving. It had a halving back in November of 2012, July of 2016, May of 2020, and April of 2024. Now, what's interesting about the halving cycles that I'll point out right now is that 364 days following the halving, we hit the very top on Bitcoin for the cycle. 525 days in, we hit the very top on Bitcoin for the halving cycle. And then the third cycle, we had two tops. One of them being at the 350-day mark, around there. We actually got 336 days. And then one of them being at the 540-day mark. So we had two tops that matched the first cycle top and the second cycle top in the third cycle. And then as of right now, the fourth cycle, we are having at least what people are assuming is extreme diminishing returns on Bitcoin, even though we have some serious catalysts for Bitcoin. And we're going to go into that in a second. Now, on the flip side, other expert forecasts are more conservative. For instance, analysts like those at Bernstein predict 200,000 by the end of 2025. Now, on that note, I want to state one thing. If Bitcoin even got to 200,000 for 2025 at the quote unquote conservative price prediction, that would also invalidate a very bearish trend. Based on the monthly candle that we've seen, based on the low volume, this is a diminishing cycle with low momentum, which means we could fail around 116,000. And if we even get up to that 200,000 mark, I would be surprised, let alone I would also assume there's going to be more volume and probably a push higher than that if we can somehow make it to that range. Now, Kathy Wood of ARK Invest sees 1.5 million by 2030. Historical growth rates also temper expectations. Bitcoin's most explosive cycle, 2016 to 2017, saw a 20x increase, but from a much lower base. A 5x jump from 84K in under a year would be unprecedented at its current market cap over 1.7 trillion, requiring massive inflows, potentially 8 to 10 trillion to sustain. Now, going off of that, and what's so interesting about that is the global money supply, the global M2 versus Bitcoin. We have tracked this because the global liquidity, all of the money in circulation, when this goes burr, when the money printer goes burr, Bitcoin tends to follow very aggressively. And what has happened currently is Bitcoin has continued to fall, and it has not reached its bottom according to them to money supply, but it's very close. We can get a wick down before skyrocketing higher. What I'm trying to say here is there is money in circulation for Bitcoin to go higher than conservative predictions assume that it can get to. Then we also have the government, obviously, to buy more Bitcoin soon after they establish the strategic Bitcoin reserve. Last but not least, this is some newer news. Senator Cynthia Lummis says the US government should sell its gold and buy Bitcoin. Now, heading back over to Grok, market dynamics add uncertainty. Institutional adoption, for example, Bitcoin ETFs or Microstrategy purchases, and a pro-crypto US administration could accelerate growth, but volatility, regulatory hurdles, or a macroeconomic downturn could delay it. Posts on X reflect the split sentiment, with some calling 444K plausible this cycle, while others see it as a 10% probability by the end of the year. In short, if Bitcoin follows an aggressive bullish trajectory like Mandel's prediction, it could hit 444K in 6 to 18 months. So September of 2025 to September of 2026. More conservative estimates suggest 2 to 5 years, or it may not happen this cycle at all. Without a crystal ball, the timeline remains a guess. Watch for a sustained momentum above 100K as a first sign. Now, if Bitcoin were to get to 444,000, what would its market cap be? That would bring its market cap to 8.79 trillion if it hypothetically got there this cycle. Bitcoin's current market cap is at 1.6 trillion, almost 1.7 trillion right now, and the entire crypto market is at 2.75 trillion as we speak. So we would have a lot of money printing to do. But again, that is exactly what we're seeing, and this could just be the beginning of that. We also saw post-COVID, the money printer turn on and everything ran. You could basically throw a dart at a dartboard and pick a stock and make money off of it. Now, this would make Bitcoin's market cap 4 to 5 times its current value. For context, 8.79 trillion surpasses also the market cap of gold, estimated at 13 to 14 trillion, and approaches the M1 money supply of the US dollar at 18 trillion as of recent years. But again, what's so interesting about this is gold has just reached all-time highs above 3,000. M2 money supply is stacking, and Bitcoin is still showing weakness. And on top of that, Bitcoin's dominance chart is flagging some warnings as well. If I show you Bitcoin's dominance chart, we see that several times Bitcoin's dominance have dipped very low and climbed very hard. But since that 2021 cycle was over, Bitcoin came insanely low, sub 36% Bitcoin dominance, and has slowly been climbing. This is accumulation of Bitcoin. We haven't seen this in a while. More so, we see aggressive downturns with aggressive moves up, with aggressive downs, right? Peaks, valleys, but right now we're seeing Bitcoin slowly climb with its dominance all the way up to 58% currently as we speak. Now, the peak of the 2017 cycle, we saw about a 61 to 62% peak in Bitcoin dominance. We also saw in the 2021 cycle almost a 70% peak in Bitcoin dominance. And back during the old cycles, we were seeing 90+% Bitcoin dominance. Now, with that, obviously this would affect altcoins. And at the end of this video, I'm going to give you 3 altcoins that I actually hold on to right now in the order that I hold on to them. Historically, Bitcoin rallies, like the post-halving, tend to increase its dominance initially. as capital flows into Bitcoin first. If Bitcoin hits 444K rapidly, dominance could rise from its current 50 to 60% based on current trends to 70% or higher. This squeezes altcoin market share, potentially causing their prices to lag or even drop in Bitcoin terms as investors chase Bitcoin's momentum. Now, the Bitcoin dominance chart also has an effect on its market cap. So depending on where that Bitcoin dominance is where we watch out for altcoins to make their move or not. Now, we would look for a rotation of capital. Point being, if we hit that 444K mark or approached it, money would probably start rounding into some altcoins very aggressively. Now, I want to talk about Bitcoin's chart really quick. 444K may seem way too far off. However, based on some factors I've given you, it might not actually be that crazy. Now, we haven't broken out into the red zone just yet on the Bitcoin Power Law Corridor, Logarithmic Scale, weekly chart. And you can use this as a reference to purchase in the purple and let it ride into the red and sell anywhere in the red and just make profits over the years if you were a long-term investor. And then to maximize your profits, you would probably subscribe to the channel. Now, with this, Bitcoin would have to come all the way to the top of this range, basically peaking its dominance like we saw back here in December of 2017 during that cycle. You would have to see Bitcoin come all the way up and hit this probably in August, September of 2025 at the earliest before collapsing even further. Now, this would be a 423% gain from where we're trading at right now at 84,000. The recent cycle saw 540% gain and then a 1,000% gain. So this is still a diminishing return, even if Bitcoin did get to that 444K range. And again, I'm only going from the base where we attempted to break into the red zone. I'm not going from the very bottom of the cycle. Again, the base where we sold off and broke into the red zone, and assuming this would be the base for that same period based on the number of days we are into the cycle. So what do you guys think? Do you think that Bitcoin is going to get to 444K this cycle or get there at all? Now, Donald Trump also said we will make America the undisputed Bitcoin superpower of the world. I want to talk about MicroStrategy very briefly and just state that these recent candles are looking very, very good as well. I could see a move with MicroStrategy between 330 and 350 very soon, especially if Bitcoin starts to break out. But again, we have to watch the overall market. First coin I obviously hold, if you know my channel, I hold Bonk, B-O-N-K. I hold Link, Chainlink, and then I hold ADA, which is Cardano. And these are the altcoins that I hold as of right now. Overall, guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. I found this interesting enough to make a video on because this guy was right on the dot and he also has some decent background. So looking into the possibilities, do you think this is going to happen? Now, guys, if you want to join my Discord server, we talk stocks and crypto in there all day long. I post my trades as soon as I take them. There are no bad questions, whether you're a beginner or advanced trader. This is the place to go. We also have tons of AI alerts that you would have to pay hundreds of dollars for if you went elsewhere. For example, option sweep alerts, insider trades, dark pool trades, market news, analyst updates, so on and so on. Then the second link in the description is for Moomoo, which is a free broker. If you press that link, open an account, and then deposit into your account, do it while the weekend is here. It'll take you 2 minutes. You will start earning up to 30 free stocks, each valued up to $2,000 per stock. You will also earn 8.1% APY on your uninvested cash. No risk, no strings attached. Go get it. It's free money. Again, sign up using my link and make a deposit into the broker. That is what I got for you guys for today's video. Don't forget, there are tons of benefits with the top 2 links, as well as the third link if you want to do fundamental analysis and really find long-term plays. That is my #1 tool in my personal opinion. That is it, guys. I love you all. God bless. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Lottery Socks out.